Good morning. Nothing actually happened for me last night. I managed to get a bit of bait out before it got dark, and I had a funny occurrence this morning which may or may not have been a carp. So later on this afternoon I'm going to take the lines out of the water for a few hours and rest and swim a bit, put a little bit more bait in with no lines in, and that's something you can take into your own fishing. If you're doing a session, you don't have to have rods in the water the whole time. If you're not getting bites at a certain time of the day, take the rods out of the water, rebait the swim, let the fish swim around seeing the bait with no lines in the water, and just chuck the rods in like I'm going to do just before it gets dark, and then hopefully the fish will come back in with confidence and feed because they haven't been seeing lines all day long. But Adam, on the other hand, is fishing absolutely brilliantly. He's got his own little bay over there, and he's caught a fish from a spot I would never put a bait, a 43 pounder, so very good angling from him. But back onto the PVA. This fella here took me 2 years to persuade the boys at Korda to put into the range. I wanted it for my own fishing. They said there wasn't a market for it, and lo and behold, they all now use it. Now, it's called the Longchuck funnel web for casting, the Longchuck as we call it. Now, I wanted a little tiny PVA stick to go out 140, 150 yards so that I could fish sticks at ranges that nobody else on my lake could fish them, and it proved to be extremely effective. In the winter time you couldn't put any bait in because the tufted ducks were so bad, and I was the only person getting consistent action, and a little tiny stick that I'm going to show you in a second was getting all the bites. Just a stick about that big, one little tiny dumbbell hook bait, and that was enough to get a bite just out in the middle of nowhere. And the mix is the all important thing, and the secret ingredient in there, not secret at all really, is tuna. Just tuna straight out of the tin, straight from your supermarket, the one in brine rather than the one in oil, because fish love salt, and oil in the winter time can congeal and the fish don't process it very well, so sometimes they can shy away from it. But just literally a tin of tuna into there, some bloodworm pellets over the top of it, and then some fishy style ground bait. I'm using the mainline one, I've used the sticky baits one in the past as well. Just mix a whole lot together. It's roughly a third of each. Mix a whole lot together until you get to that sort of consistency. And the thing I've added most recently is ground chili peppers. Now, chili's obviously very, very hot. I put it in my hemp and the fish absolutely love that. I was talking to Adam about it, and he said some of the guys from Sparsholt College were putting corn in that was so hot you couldn't even put it in your mouth. They were dropping it in the tank and the fish were going mad for it. So I've added those ground chili peppers just to spice things up a bit. Now, to show you the system, it actually comes with the compressor in it, still in your waterproof outer shell. Let's get that there. And the thing that most people do wrong with this is they try and scoop it up and get it into that little tiny funnel in the top. Yeah, so all I do is just scoop it against the side of the bait box that I've used to mix it up in, and then the compressor stick down the end there, make sure the PVA is nice and tight, thumb over the end, and then just really press it down so it goes into a nice compressed stick. Just push it out at the end with the PVA under a bit of tension, take your compressor out the way, and again use loads of PVA so you can tie your knot easily. Hold the top of the bag and then pull the knot down onto the top of the bag, and then the same thing again, hold the knot where you want it to be on the PVA, pull it tight, and you're done. And then, as always, cut between the two. You might notice that the PVA itself is very, very fine. We fined it down recently, so even in the winter time, a stick's going to go in about 30 seconds. And for some reason, this particular PVA melts faster with a stick than it does with a bag of pellets. Normally, it's the other way round. Even so, don't make your sticks up a long time in advance. I make them up literally as I go in the winter. You can make them up a couple of hours before in the summer, but no more than that, because any of the juices that you've got in that stick mix will soak into the PVA and massively extend the melt time. Right, now threading it on, you can hook it on the end if you want to, but what I'm going to do is use a heavy gate latch needle, and that just goes through the middle of the stick and out the other side. You can use a hook link with a loop on the end. I've crimped on a link loop onto this hybrid hook link, which is my preferred way, into that gate latch there, like that, so nothing will catch. You do break a couple of bits of PVA when you pull this through, but don't worry about that. Just broke a couple on either side of the stick, and then I'm pulling the hook link right the way into the end of the stick like that. So there's no way that hair can tangle, no way the rig can tangle, because you've got an extra bit of weight on there and it tends to hold the rig away from the anti-tangle system, so you don't get any tangles in flight. And then when it goes to the bottom, you've got that lovely little spread of bait around it, just enough to get a bite, and whatever that lands on, there's no way the hook can foul up in anything. So absolutely perfect. And then I would slide on a little bit of silicone onto that hook link like that. That's part of our range. That's a 3mm silicone sleeve that I've just cut down, and on the end of the lead system, if I can just turn that around, show you, is a quick link. You can use a stick clip or a quick link, and I'm literally just hooking the link loop onto that and then covering it up with a bit of silicone so there's no way that can get back off. And that is the rig done. And when you see that hanging up, you can see how streamlined everything is. There's just no way that's going to tangle. And that's how to make the stick. There's a couple of other mixes that I'd recommend as well, so let's have a look at those.